Yes and no. I mean, yes and no. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, yes, no, maybe. Who knows? But
I'm just not giving a fuck. Really, just not giving a fuck. Just whatever happens, happens. You know, like just I'm here for a reason. Don't overthink it. You know, just play the game like you know how to play it.
Happy Monday. Welcome to Marty Time TV and the Section 1904 podcast. I am Marty Caswell. That is Darren Smith. We are brought to you by the all-new Humboldt Casino Resort, the Players Place, and I'm on the wrong mic. What a Monday. Ready? First and foremost, I want to say, Darren C. Smith, congratulations. Your pain, your agony, your despair is finally over. I am so happy for you. I am jealous for you. Will you go to the Knicks parade on Thursday?
Thank you. And I've not been great at responding to a lot of messages on social media, Marty. I know this will come as a complete shock to you, but
floored.
There just were so many of them. I really do appreciate everybody who, I'm sure the majority of whom do not care at all about the Knicks, but who did reach out to say, hey, dude, congrats. We've listened to you over the years. We've put up with this nonsense of you moaning on about what it's like being a fan of this team.
Yes.
So we are happy for you. If for no other reason, maybe that we don't ever have to listen to it again. And I don't know. It's a very weird feeling, Marty. I feel like the metaphor is the dog that always chases the car. Well, what are you going to do with it when you finally catch it? And now that that's happened, there is this confusing feeling to it. It is a very, very unusual feeling. Obviously, it's not something I've ever experienced in my life.
Right.
It is something that I've thought about for 35, 40 years at least, you know. So to be there and to get a chance to go and see it in person and spend 40 hours in San Antonio, to have the time of my life, it was just unforgettable. It was really meaningful. Back in San Diego. As a matter of fact, as you and I are chatting here, I have to be at Fit Social coming up a little later on this afternoon for another World Cup appearance. We're going to talk about the World Cup with Eric Gomez.
Yes.
It was incredible. And it's a feeling I hope that everybody, whatever team it is that's the most important team in your life, I hope it's a feeling that everybody who's watching or listening gets to experience, whether it's in person or not. You know, not everybody can go and do stuff like that. And, you know, I definitely I feel very fortunate. I feel very fortunate that we were able to find a flight, that we were able to get to San Antonio, that we were able to listen, Humboldt Casino, are you hiring? Because I'm going to be paying this trip off for a really, really long time. It was not inexpensive. And but it was worth every penny. It was worth every penny. And we took a shot at it. You know, we just said, you know, you asked if I was going to go to the parade. That was the thing I was talking about. Like, was I going to go? If there was a parade, was that what I was going to go do?
Rather than the game.
Rather than a game.
Okay.
Because, you know, I'm just sort of going through it, trying to figure out, like, what's most realistic here. And then going to Madison Square Garden, probably not realistic for a game. But Game 5 made sense. Found a flight, direct flight, Southwest Airlines, 6:30 a.m. Saturday.
Incredible.
No problems getting in. Found a hotel. Hotel had a ton of Knicks fans staying in it, where we were like hiding from San Antonio fans. No joke. But just an amazing experience. And I don't know what to say, man. I just, I don't know what to say. I mean, you think about something like this and then it happens and you don't know how you're going to react, you know? And I sort of just sat there and soaked it all in. Then I woke up on Sunday morning and I was in the hotel in San Antonio and I started going through social media and seeing some of these videos, and like, it made me emotional. You know, I was like tears coming down my face. Just
you took Mike Green's advice. It's okay for Knicks fans to go ahead and cry.
Yeah.
I love it for you. I haven't had that feeling. I mean, once I got in this business, you know, how you follow teams, it changes forever, right? Like how the sausage is made. I haven't had that moment, honestly, for forever. And I miss that feeling, and I'm of fan agony and despair, and all the things that you think of, all the emotions that are tied with your sports teams. It's usually tied with like your dad or your mom or a sibling or something like that. But you don't have to be Knicks fan. I think Padres fans they're long suffering. They've never won it. Yep. I think it hasn't happened in their lifetime. I think that we can understand that's the unifier across sports.
Yeah.
is the agony of just wanting it so badly, wanting a championship.
That is exactly it. That's why I've always felt like my Padre fandom is different than my Knicks fandom, but it exists. It's different, but for a lot of people, Marty, like you, I mean, I lived in San Diego for 23 years. There's, Eric Gomez is a lifelong San Diegan, just like you. And I would guess, since he's somebody who's not part of it day in, day out, maybe he's not as removed with his fandom as you might be. And Marty's right. I still think that there's a balance that you can make between still being a fan and also having a professional responsibility, but we don't need to have a journalism lesson.
And rooting for your city because I root for my city to succeed. And
I was surprised, Marty, because I wasn't sure about that part. I think last time we talked about it, I said, I want them to win it for me. Selfish about this. Whereas I want the Padres to win the World Series for the city of San Diego.
Yeah.
But as I was watching a lot of those videos, and I know there's always going to be some incidents someplace, right? They're always going to flip over a taxi. It's always going to happen. But watching some of those street corners, far away from Madison Square Garden, just completely taken over with the game projected on the side of a building, that was cool. I don't know how many of those people have been through it for as long, and that doesn't matter. I mean, it's not somebody's fault if they're 25, 30 years old and they don't remember 1994, right? Just like a Padre fan, there's a lot of new Padre fans. That's what part of this fan base has become now over the last 5-6 years. So not everybody knows what it was like you to go through 98 or even to go further back and go through 84. Doesn't make them lesser fans. Just means some of us have longer scars.
I'm jealous. You're jealous. There's a generation of Padre fans right now, Darren, that have grown up with the expectation of expecting their team to be in the hunt, chasing the playoffs. And hey, they're not worried about who we can trade the deadline. They're more worried about who are we going to go ahead and pick up at the trade deadline. So that's a nice feeling. Listen, I hope it happens. I really, So now you have St. John's to complain about. So it'll be okay.
I know. Now I'm just watching these guys on social media. I mean, Mikal Bridges is completely hammered on Instagram Live. It's the funniest thing, to the point where Jalen Brunson is taking to Twitter for the first time in forever to say, would somebody please go find Bridges and take his phone away from him?
Oh, boy.
I mean, it's just funny to watch these guys. I guess they're all going to be on the Jimmy Fallon show a little later on tonight. So that's kind of cool.
On Fallon?
Is it Fallon? I don't know.
No, because Kimmel's in. Okay, it's not. Okay.
Maybe it's Fallon. I don't know.
Fallon's in New York,
I won't be
Kimmel's in
awake
LA.
for it. I mean, listen, you know me, I'm going to be long asleep by then.
Yeah.
But just again, and I don't know what it looked like on television, Marty, but there were so many. I mean, there's so many fans down there, and they were just everybody understood this could be our moment, And I said this earlier because normally I do Fridays with Ben and Woods, and they said, "Hey, can we just talk today?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And they said, "Did you have that feeling of how much money you were spending that?" And I don't, I don't know that I'll ever admit how much money I spend, but
text me. I need to know.
I literally bought the ticket. I was on the tarmac on the flight.
Wait, really quick, because there's a thing where
Territory 10, Marty.
Yeah, Territory 10.
Use the promo code Territory 10.
See, very, very good. But I saw a thing through like Ticketmaster was going to go ahead if you were not from the area with a 150-mile radius, they were going to revoke your tickets and refund your money.
Huge concern.
Wow.
Didn't happen. That was unsettling because I did literally place the order when I was sitting in the seat on the flight at 6:30. Okay, here goes nothing.
Yeah.
And I remember get-in price for game 2 went down to about $600, and I was like, "Oh, maybe that'd be great." No issue.
No.
It wasn't even close. It wasn't even close to that. Real quick, I went into this. We were staying in this hotel, and it doesn't take you long to find a fellow Knicks fan. And I got to chatting with some guy, and I went with Leah. And I wasn't sure. I just want to be safe, because who knows? I've never been to San Antonio. And I said, "Hey, where's everybody going? Is everybody pre-gaming?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, we're going to this Irish bar, something or another's, go make whatever's." I was like, oh, what's the name of it? He's like, "I don't know. Just look into the group chat." He gets in the elevator and off he goes. I'm like, look in the group chat. What is this guy talking about? What's group chat? So we took a chance. We found this Irish bar that was a mile away. Went there. Place was packed. Place was packed with Knicks fans. And somebody said, "Oh, are you in the group chat?" And I said, "What group chat?" Apparently, I don't know who started this, but there's a group chat of about 600, 700 Knicks fans, completely disconnected. And everybody's just part of this group chat. And it actually came in handy because after the game, there was a lot of stuff that probably will never make media the way some of the other unfortunate moments in New York made the media. But there was a lot of that. There was a lot of that. There were people that were driving around in the streets, in pickup trucks, looking at, like in the backs of pickup trucks looking for anybody that was wearing blue and orange. And we had an incident where we got out of the car with traffic and tried to get into our hotel, and there were some things that were thrown, but like whatever. And then we would just watch from the hotel bar. We would watch people coming in with their shirts ripped and stuff like that. So there was quite a few of those moments, unfortunately. And but that being said, it was just it was amazing. And the game was the game again, fall behind by like Leah turns to me in the second quarter, and she'll be in the room when I'm watching, and she'll hear me, bitch and moan about whatever. But she's never like invested like she invested. She looked at me in midway and she goes, "Is this every game for you guys?" Like, yeah, this is
it's torture. It's like what Boch used to say. It's torture.
Yeah,
it's miserable.
It is torture.
It's and the agony, the joy and agony of being a sports fan, but especially a Knicks fan. So
and then just to watch it and to be there and to hang around for a little while afterwards and to soak it all in for a day. Like I said this morning, the amount of money, like the risk of going there and having them lose and feeling like you just lit this pot of money.
Yeah.
The only thing that outweighed that, like there was a real regret associated with that possibility, but the other regret was much more being able to go and not going and they win. You know what I mean? So like there were these two like on one side of the scale, these two forms of regret. And I feel like the bigger regret would have been being able to go and not going over going, spending a bunch of money and they lose. So, I'll never think about it again about, how much we spent. We just chose to do it. I really wasn't even sure, Marty. I think you texted me on Friday. I was like, I'm going. Like I had the flight booked, refundable, didn't have the tickets, found the hotel. And we just made it happen.
The greatest sports moment of your life. When you were there now, a couple things. I have no idea. Were the San Antonio Missions, were they in town, Darren? Did you have a chance to go? Really?
Did have a backup plan to go see Ethan Salas.
So if you didn't get tickets, if your tickets were revoked by Ticketmaster because you're a lowly Knicks fan, Darren, and not from the area, you would have salvaged your wounds by maybe meeting up with John Conniff of Matt Friars, getting a restaurant recommendation, and watching Ethan Salas before he's traded for Sandy Alcantara, right?
Yeah, pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they were there. So yes, I did get a text or two from some people in the Padres organization about that, which was very funny.
Yes.
And very much appreciated. So I did love that. Yeah. And listen, I have to come completely clean here.
I know what
we're not going to do a Friar territory today. I haven't seen much of the Padres. On Friday night, I was watching the U.S. men's national team in the World Cup get off to an amazing start. My goodness. Where did
greatest
that come
sport,
from?
I'm going to say this right now. Greatest sports weekend of your life. It has to be. It has to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's up there.
And your Knicks.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. So forgive me. I'm just not up to speed on the Padres. I'll watch the Cardinals tonight. So we have something to do tomorrow for Friar territory. But I know, Marty, you were around this weekend. I think you stopped by and at least saw some of the stuff going on Friday afternoon in Mission Beach, which was another moment.
For sports fans, and I'm going to tell you this because you're at Fit Social. I saw you there with Julian from Fox 5, right? Fit Social is this amazing like outdoor venue bar area right there in Mission Beach by Belmont, right? And so I was going to go out there. I went hours early because I knew it was going to be absolutely packed. So I walked from PB down there with my nephew, but I didn't read the directions, which is typical Marty fashion. You can't bring backpacks, and I brought a backpack, I brought water bottles, but all this stuff. So I'm going to go next time, but it was insane. The people, the line to get in, the people chanting all the jerseys. That's the place to be if you are in the PB Mission Beach area, man. It looked like so much fun. So I'll be down there. A real quick thing.
It's been a minute since I've been over there, man.
Oh, it's nice.
Marty knows. Like I spent a lot of time in that area when I first got to Sand. My first fish taco ever was at the Sandbar. So I mean, I was like walking around. I was like, God, why don't I hang out here anymore? Like this place is amazing.
I know.
That's
like
great.
You'll be there all week, right?
I will be there today. So today is Monday, right? So I will be there today after Egypt and Belgium. Not going to be on with Julian. I think Julian's got the day off, so I think it's going to be Chase.
Okay. Oh,
so
nice.
We'll do something, and then
I think Chase was the Coliseum for the Team USA viewing party.
Oh, cool! And I think he's on his way to go watch Portugal play. If I saw on Instagram a little bit earlier, and then I'll be back there on Wednesday and Thursday. I have a double header out there. So yeah, I mean we're recording. We just watched Spain and Cape Verde with a scoreless draw, which was the shocking result of this tournament so far for CJ Dos Santos and Cape Verde. I will say, since he's on that roster, Marty, I was like, I hope he doesn't start against Spain, man, because that sounds like it's going to be a bloodbath, like Germany and
7-1.
in Curacao, right? And this is their first ever tournament, second, third smallest country ever to make it to the World Cup. So I was expecting that to be a bloodbath against the favorites of the tournament, and to go scoreless with Spain, man, holy cow, what a day. So yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I mean, I saw some of the World Cup numbers. I know television rating numbers.
Top three market.
Yeah,
for
no real
USA.
surprise there. So
Right.
I mean, there's just so much going on between, trying to keep up with the Padres. You saw them throwing baseballs back and forth with the
Right.
Orioles all weekend long. I read AC today, said half of the El Paso squad is here.
No, it is. I mean, it is. It's
amazing.
And right now, if we were to go and do a quick recap, because I know you have ESPN's Eric Gomez coming in between matches. I think the big story from this past series against where they took 2 out of 3 at Baltimore, maybe from the past week, has been Samad Taylor. I mean, this guy has made an impact in absolutely every single game that he's been in, which is every game. He's your starting left fielder. Will Wagner's made an impact. Gosh.
And you interviewed Samad Taylor, right?
I did interview Samad Taylor, and Samad Taylor is like an LA guy, right? And he said that he grew up a bigger soccer fan than a baseball fan.
Huh.
He was a midfielder. He was a big fan of the LA Galaxy because of David Beckham, but I think he chose the right sport, Darren. But man, you hear the word spark. Yeah, I know exactly. You hear the word spark plug for Samad Taylor by all of his teammates, and he's made a huge impact. And I know we have Eric Gomez coming up. We want to get to him too, but I think
that's exactly it, Marty, because I will say, who knows with Samad Taylor, right? Yeah. Who knows? Just enjoy it.
Right.
But if the idea was to change the vibe a little bit and get some guys that could do some other things, not that he's not going to hit at this clip, but that you could do other things and you can run and you could defend and you can do other things. Like that's the real thing. That's what they were going for here. They weren't saying, hey, this guy's going to save us. He's going to pull us out of the fire.
Right.
Although I'm not so sure, but they did think for a moment that this would change kind of the dynamic and the tone of what it was that was happening with these sort of one-dimensional players that, just say you're not doing the one dimension thing. Great. Right. So we got to at least find some other guys that are competent at doing some other things. And
speed doesn't go into
it's worked. Yeah.
It has worked. And I remember, I remember I put that comment from Manny Machado after Castellanos was DFA'd about the clubhouse was devastated, but we know we had these guys coming up. Maybe they can help us. I think they're helping. Another thing, Tatis has been on fire. I know the power's not there right now, but top of the order, man, he's answering the solutions. Freddie Fermin back to the concussion list. Rodolfo Duran had a home run yesterday. Was robbed of a second home run. And I know Gomez is coming up. So my last thing, Darren, AJ Caswell has preached this since day one in spring training that the Padres' biggest needs was going to be starting pitching despite all the injuries. Today, it's an opener before Lucas Giolito, Michael King tomorrow, and then another opener before Griffin Canning finale on Wednesday. I saw a rumor from John Heyman that the Padres could be in on Sandy Alcantara. So, Darren, maybe you missed your chance to watch Ethan Salas in El Paso.
I did. Well, unfortunately, it was for a good reason, everybody. So just as I could wander up and down Riverwalk. You ever been to San Antonio, by the way?
Me? No.
Yeah. Interesting place.
Is the food any good?
We found some good food. We did find some good food. It's just it's hot. I still feel like my internal temperature is like 15 degrees, 20 degrees higher than it was when I left. But maybe that's for reasons other than the heat and humidity of San Antonio. There's a very handsome Eric Gomez.
Oh man, I mean, I was trying to move back away from the camera because it feels like I'm taking up 95% of the space here. So
no, man, you got like 33% of it. No, you got 33%. You're looking good. How's life? Where are you? Mexico City today?
Mexico City, still hanging around here. Not going to be able to head out to Guadalajara for the second group stage match for Mexico, but we got a couple of things cooking in your hometown of New York City, so should be good.
Say what?
Yeah, I'm going to be heading out to New York City on the 22nd and covering the NBA draft and a couple of World Cup matches out there. So, yeah.
Look at you. I didn't know that. This is Eric Gomez from ESPN, by the way. So
Marty hit up the Mets.
Yeah. Well, Marty can jump back in. Marty's like, I'm going to excuse myself. I mean, Marty, you could at least stick around and say hello if you want.
All right, I'm muting myself. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to stick around and listen. I want to go ahead and learn right now because right now, it's a Monday. I need to get back into the World Cup. I was telling Darren this before the show started that I probably spent more time watching, the NBA for sure, the NBA Finals, his Knicks, and also the World Cup than I did almost anything else. So far, off to a good start. By the way, question for both of you, because I mentioned this to August. Maybe we can go up and see a World Cup game.
Right.
What did that win do for ticket sales, for upcoming ticket sales? for the ticket market.
The U.S.?
Yes.
Probably, I mean, I think it opens some people's eyes. Maybe if people are like, why would I go watch that? This team always disappoints us.
Right.
Have almost a week now, people, and we'll see, because I'm sure, Marty, like Eric, you would say the same thing. What happens between the first and second game when you have a result like that is everybody's going to say, well, what was the 4-1? Was that more about the U.S. or was that more about Paraguay? And, we won't ultimately know until we see the teams play again for the second time. But I think it's going to open some eyes. I do.
Yeah.
I think that was a really, really important first step for a home soil World Cup for the U.S. men's national team, because it's not. It's a game that's memorable, and they've played a lot of forgettable games in the past. So I think to have that kind of memorable game right out of the gate on U.S. home soil, Eric, I think it's actually going to do the U.S. wonders. Now we'll see what happens against Australia and against Turkey, but I think that's going to do wonders to have that kind of a record. A fourth goal, we've never seen that. 3-goal win, we've only seen that unless we're around 100 years ago. None of us have ever seen that. So, it's as impressive a win as anybody's ever seen. I think it's going to do wonders for the U.S., don't you?
Yeah, I think my answer is not going to help Barney too much here, because it's kind of piggybacking off of what you said. I mean, this is probably the best individual performance I've ever seen from the U.S. men's national team ever. That 4-1 in a World Cup. And you could say that it was aided by a lot of different factors. First and foremost, you're playing at home. That crowd was electric. It was fantastic. Yeah. It was on par with what we saw at Estadio Azteca for the Mexico-South Africa game to open up the tournament. And it's also, I mean, I haven't watched as many Paraguay matches as I've watched U.S. matches, but I do love South American soccer in general. So I have seen my share of Paraguay matches. That's probably the worst I've ever seen Paraguay play, especially in a World Cup, right? So it's not going to help too much. You can make an argument for the U.S. isn't going to be as good as against Australia. Now that Australia have seen what the U.S. is capable of, and Australia, I think we're really great physically speaking, just a physical team, very fast. I think they'll match up better with the U.S. than Paraguay ever could. And then on the flip side, I can see Paraguay bouncing back in that second game as well. And, just kind of making it look as if that first match was an accident of sorts. But still, it was great. Marty said, what's that going to do to the ticket market? I think it does wonders for everything related to U.S. soccer, because, I'll give you a quick example. My wife and I were at a mall yesterday, and she had not yet purchased her Mexico national team jersey. So we hit up easily 5-6 stores in that mall. It was not until that 5th or 6th lap that we were able to find and secure a green Mexico jersey for her, because they were all sold out everywhere, even at the official Adidas store. And you might say, well, Mexico's a bigger soccer country than the U.S. is, but still, you should be able to find a jersey. So what happened was, after that 2-0 match against South Africa, people are running out and getting their hands on whatever they can.
Yeah, I love the fact too. This is a good weekend for husbands with wives that put up with our sports nonsense. I've converted my wife to a Knicks fan. She's hyperventilating halfway through the first quarter. Like, I cannot believe this, the tension in this building. And you've converted your Bolivian wife into a Mexico fan. So good job.
Yeah. I mean, she didn't really have a choice. Bolivia's not in the World Cup right now, but still, that was not a hard sell. That jersey looks good on her, but still.
That jersey just looks good, my dude. I'm sure she makes it look amazing, but that jersey is legit. I will confess to being a little bit envious of the Mexico shirts for this World Cup cycle.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great jersey. It's reminiscent of the 98 jersey. Is the U.S. jersey is reminiscent a bit of the 94 jersey, which I think is pretty cool. But ultimately, yeah, I mean, these games, I think it was a great weekend, as you said, for soccer fans in the U.S. and in Mexico. And I think the nerves are starting to creep back in for Mexico, because they saw what South Korea were able to do in their initial match against Czechia. And that game's not going to be in Mexico City. It's going to be in Guadalajara, as I mentioned. That's a different crowd. That's a different ambience. That's a different set of atmospheric, characteristics compared to Mexico City. It is not as high as Mexico City in terms of the altitude. It is more humid, I should say that. But South Korea looked really good in that game. They haven't had to move for this entire week. Mexico is going to have to travel, albeit it's a quick 1 hour flight, and I think it's going to be a lot closer than a lot of people anticipate.
Let me ask about the opener for Mexico, because I was on television right afterwards, right? And so, it's, hey, what did you think? 2-0, everybody's got to be happy. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not so sure. When you face a South African team that looked completely disorganized and overwhelmed almost from the jump, right? The whole playing it out of the back thing, I just isn't working for them. And then you go up, they go down a man around the 60th minute, I want to say, and then they go down a second man. So we had 3 straight red cards, which is insane. In the first game of this tournament, 3 straight reds, which I think is more. I think I heard this was more, or maybe one less than the previous 2 World Cups combined for all the tournament. Which, wow, what a start for that referee. But I don't know, you wouldn't give it back. I mean, of course you're going to take a 2-0 win at home. All right, of course you're going to do that at the Azteca. The place looked amazing. It was emotional. Raul Jimenez. But now you have a little time. Was there any sense of, probably could have been a little bit better? Or is everybody just like, nope, take the 2-0 and off we go, get ready for South Korea on Wednesday?
I mean, you take the result. You take the result because full well that most groups or some of these groups are going to have 3 teams make it out of the group, right? So 3 points are more valuable now than ever. You don't necessarily have to go by goal differential, because I think the first tiebreaker is a direct result. So we're turning this into La Liga, into the Premier League. Yeah. So you value that win over everything else, basically. But Javier Aguirre went out after that game into the press conference and said, basically, what? We needed to win 4-0, right? We needed this game to end in a much more decisive fashion for Mexico, and we certainly had the chances. I don't think anybody could argue with him. I think Mexico were dominant throughout the 90 minutes. They could have had a couple of more clear-cut goal chances. They missed a couple of chances that I think were in other matches would have gone in. But still, you take that victory with a grain of salt in saying this is not the full potential of the Mexican national team under Javier Aguirre. But on the other side, or the flip side, you say this is ultimately what has been plaguing Mexico, not just in the Javier Aguirre era, but basically forever. This is a team that does not take full advantage of the chances that are being laid out in front of them, especially when they come up against, quote, inferior opposition, as South Africa was on Thursday. Now, South Korea is a different monster. They're a much better team, I would say, than South Africa. They've got star power, and they're not intimidated, clearly, by playing in Mexico. They've actually done a really great job of putting Mexican fans, on their backs, as it were. They're having a blast. They're having a blast. So they're not going to have this incredibly hostile environment when they face off on Thursday. Clearly, everything's going to be pro-Mexico, and basically 95% of that crowd is going to be backing Mexico. But it's a testament, I think, to the poise that this nation has, and that they've been able to parlay into a successful World Cup campaign so far. Because I just said it, 3 points are extremely valuable. They're not going to throw this match away, but they know that they're not favored. So I think that they're going to play into Mexico's pressure, as it were, the same way that Cape Verde just did to Spain a few minutes ago.
Insane. Can you? I said right before you came on, I talked a little bit about, like, sports can make you emotional. Like I've had an emotional weekend. The story about Raul Jimenez coming back, starting, scoring. Can you tell us why that was such an emotional moment for fans of Mexican soccer?
Raul Jimenez is a guy that has had just an incredible story. He's a guy that came out of a very small town in central Mexico, Tepeji, in the state of Hidalgo. Multiple times during the course of his career, he said that he was, this close to dropping out of these different academies that he was in, Cruz Azul first and then Club America second, because he felt like he was not good enough. I mean, coaches loved him because he's a tall guy. Mexico doesn't have a lot of 6'2" strikers, 6'3" strikers. So he definitely always was built for the sport of soccer and for the position that he plays. But he was also more of a technical player. He wanted to be a midfielder when he was younger, and again, physically that was just not in the cards. When he made it to Club America as a pro, he completely took off and went to Atletico Madrid in 2014, if I'm not mistaken. So he was a very young kid, 23 years old, and he's built a career in Europe since then. I mean, I know this is not news to anybody, but most of the elite players around the world are going to play in Europe. To have a Mexican striker do that for over a decade and play in La Liga and play in the Premier League mostly, that's huge. In 2020, he had a very, very scary incident with David Luiz, the Brazilian central defender for Arsenal at the time. They clashed heads, and Raul nearly died. Right, there were people doubting, doctors doubting that he would ever be able to play professional soccer again. So he beats the odds. He comes back. He was wearing that Peter Cech leather helmet for a while there. Doctors were telling him, like, play the game, but don't head the ball. That's insane when you're talking to a guy that, basically plies his trade off of scoring goals. Right? You need to be able to head in all those balls, especially if you're 6'3", like Raul is. Ultimately, he comes back all the way. The national team was always kind of a separate entity. He never had the opportunity to score at a World Cup 2014, 2018, 2022. It was very, very difficult for him. He didn't get the minutes that a guy of his pedigree should have gotten, right? 3 months before the World Cup, Raul's dad passes away. And one of the last things he tells his son is, I'm very sorry that I am not going to be able to watch you at this World Cup. The father and son had been waiting for this moment for years, and Raul, tears in his eyes, obviously, he promises his father he's going to score his first World Cup goal. He just promises it. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to score. Mexico, South Africa, you've got Raul starting as Mexico's number 9. As the game progresses, he gets a couple of chances. Julian Quinones, of course, scores the first goal. And you start to think that maybe it's not going to happen in this game, but Raul just keeps plowing away. Javier Aguirre said it. We were this close to subbing Raul out because we want to keep him fresh for the next 2 group stage games. Raul waves him off. He's like, no way, dude. I'm not coming off. And he gets the opportunity to score, mind you, with his head. The one thing that those doctors said that he would not be able to do 6 years ago, he scores a header, 2-0, and he starts bawling, understandably. So it was such an emotional moment. You can see people in the stands who know this story just absolutely with that mix of emotions, just incredibly happy for him, but also with tears in their eyes because of what it meant to him and what it means to the country. So just an absolute fantastic story all the way around.
Yeah. By the way, just for anybody whose ears perked up while Eric was doing an amazing job of recapping that, when he said that was a life-threatening collision that he had when he was playing for Wolves, like that was the prognosis that this man could lose his life, not just his career, but his life. That's how severe the head injury was for Raul Jimenez. So incredible moment. I also think too, right? Because we can talk about Balogun a little bit, playing for the U.S. men's national team with a brace and some of the, I don't want to do politics, but just the story of his dual nationality and
birthright citizenship.
Yeah, birthright citizenship. Exactly right. I mean, there you go. People that are on the fence, just watch our national team play here in the U.S. But also, when Quinones scored too, like I saw people who were Colombian who were putting the Colombian flag up there. Mexicans were talking to. He's another guy who found himself in a little bit, I don't want to say a controversy, but there was a conversation about whether or not, is he Colombian or is he Mexican? But I guess nothing mattered there when he scored the opener of the 2026 World Cup.
You know what? Like, if people are having, I wouldn't say a hard time, but they're finding it a little difficult to get into soccer, which is always the story in the U.S. every 4 years when we've got this tournament on TV. Now it's, literally in the United States. I would focus on stories, and I would focus on the backstories of these athletes to find folks to root for. So Julian Quinones is another great example of that. He came to Mexico, basically escaping a civil war in Colombia that was threatening his hometown, and he did so as a teenager on the backs of his amateur soccer career because he was, I think, 15 or 16 years old when he made the decision to move to Mexico. And he was, of course, not a known quantity, right? He was a kid. So, as is the case with thousands, if not millions, of these kids who are in these academies, he had to find his way. So he initially goes to Monterrey and he links up with Tigres, which is one of the the bigger regional clubs in Mexico, and he essentially finds a spot onto the first team, but he does not debut, right? So he's 17, 18, 19 years old. They're they're loaning him out to these different clubs in the second division, and then he gets to Puebla and he just has this monster season for a club that doesn't even exist anymore, Darren, which is Lobos Buap in Liga MX. Tigres, they're like, whoa, what have we got here? Right? They bring him back and he doesn't do well. So they're like, all right, so this kid just can't handle the pressure. Think about that for a second. They think he can't handle pressure. And they send him out. He ends up winning 6 Liga MX titles over the next 4 years.
Mm.
Tigres on the bench, couple. Atlas, a team that had not won a Liga MX title in 70 years. That's 7-0, not 1-7. And he wins back-to-back titles with them, goes to Club America, the biggest club in Mexico. So you want to talk about pressure. And he does it again, back-to-back titles with them. Everybody's clamoring for him, rather, to go to Europe, to do what Raul Jimenez did, to do what Chicharito did, because he's got his Mexican citizenship in tow by this point. He doesn't do that. He goes to Saudi Arabia. A lot of people are disappointed by this move. He ends up being the top scorer in the league that has Cristiano Ronaldo, Karim Benzema, just a cavalcade of stars. And he does it without breaking a sweat. We were 1 month out from the World Cup, and people were still doubting that Julian Quinones could be a part of this starting 11 for Mexico once June 11th rolled around. And he scores the opening goal of the World Cup. And as a postscript to this, as a PS, everybody's just kind of ragging on Colombia and their football federation, saying, why didn't you call this guy in? They actually did several times, and he turned them down. Why? Because Julian Quinones was so grateful to Mexico and the path that he was able to walk as a professional soccer player when he came to this country with absolutely nothing, that he wanted to give back to his new nation, as it were. His children are Mexican. His wife is Mexican. He wears that badge so very proudly. And now, I mean, he's 100% Colombian, but I will dare you to find a Mexican citizen that will tell you that Julian Quinones is not Mexican enough after what he did last Thursday.
Yeah, it sounds very similar, right? For a baseball fan to Randy Arozarena story, right? Not
Right.
Colombian born, but Cuban, and then makes his way into Mexico due to circumstance, and just says, I will give everything for this place because this place took me in at a time where we needed it. So do love it. So how are you feeling about game number 2, South Korea? Like you said, it's coming up on Thursday. Do I have the day right? My days are all over the place here.
Yeah.
Coming up on Thursday. I thought South Korea was okay. Just kind of okay. I don't know, man. I don't know what to say. I mean, I've watched a lot of MLS with Son Heung-min. Like,
Right.
I'm not saying the guy's done, but it doesn't look the same to me. It hasn't looked the same in MLS, and from who knows? We'll see what happens later on this tournament. But how are you feeling just about match day 2, the second game for Mexico?
I mean, good comeback victory for them last Thursday. I certainly think that they deserved it, especially in the second half. They had more shots on goal. They had more possession. They had more touches. But Czechia really put him up against the ropes. And I think your point on Son is 100% on the money. I mean, this is a guy that, and I don't mean to sound like a Euro snob or anything, but ultimately players in Major League Soccer, players in Liga MX, players even in Brazil and in Argentina, they're never going to have that same level as guys that are in European soccer and playing for these top clubs. So he's definitely dropped off a bit. But I think his leadership, I think the fact that they can count on him and have him on the pitch for these matches means a lot, right, to the rest of the team and certainly to the fans. They were, as I said, able to pull off that comeback victory. And as I'm not too sure. Mexico will clearly be favored in this game, but I think South Korea will relish that, as I said it prior. I think they're going to come out and they're going to play to Mexico's strengths and say, all right, you want the ball, you can have the ball, and essentially do what the U.S. did to Mexico for the longest time, which is just wait, and counter. The issue with that is Mexico is an extremely organized team in the back. Javier Aguirre is not going to allow a team to counter them to death, right? And to score goals that way. So ultimately, what's going to happen? I mean, I see more of a 0-0 or a 1-1 or a 1-0 to Mexico than I do a game that's going to be 2-1 like South Korea had against Czechia, or 2-0 against Mexico, South Africa. This is going to be a game with tight margins, I think. And if Mexico are able to score an early goal, as they did against South Africa, that's going to really, really help them out for the rest of the game, because it's going to force South Korea to go off their script, right? So, I still see Mexico as the favorite for this game, but it's not as it's not as it's not as huge a difference as it was with that South Africa game in last Thursday, especially now, because you don't have the energy of Estadio Azteca and the energy of having literally the entire world watching this game, because it was the opener, right? This is now we're getting into the match day 2, as it were, of the World Cup, and things
Right.
are starting to change because, as you said, you got to think about goal differential, you got to think about all these different things as you move into the knockout stages.
Yep, and minutes and all that sort of stuff as well. Canada, just as one of the hosts, I thought, Bosnia clips an early goal and then they're chasing the whole match. But that's a point. They never had one of those before, so want to give them a little bit of love. USA, Australia. I mean, it's amazing. It's a surreal thing as somebody who's followed the U.S., Eric, just to have people literally arguing about which was the best of the 4 goals. I don't know. Was it Gio Reyna in the 7th minute of stoppage time, or was it Balogun second because he picks up this brace? The Paraguayan coach was completely he had no answers. He's like, they just destroyed us in every possible way, tactically, technically, ran right through us. They couldn't pass it short. They couldn't pass it long. They couldn't do anything. I mean, they just, they couldn't do anything. The goal kind of came out of nowhere for Paraguay. Maybe that's something against a better opponent you have to think about. Chris Richards on the back was great. McKennie was amazing. Pulisic, now the injury had to come out at halftime. Reyna comes off the bench again. Balogun, I wasn't sure him or Pepe, but give Pochettino credit and like, let's just go there. I mean, give Pochettino credit. He had them ready and they were flying.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that this was a rope-a-dope, but the team did not look nearly as well as they did in those tune-up games prior to the World Cup. I think you and I were in agreement in saying this team doesn't look good defensively. They look great offensively, but they don't look good defensively. And I think that's one of the issues that Pochettino really kind of decided to bear down on. And those guys came out and they were just absolutely all over the pitch. Every single time that the U.S. lost the ball, whether it was on their side of the pitch or on Paraguay's side of the pitch, they just absolutely pressured every single opposing player until they got that ball back. So again, just massive credit to him. As I said earlier, I think this is the best overall match that I've seen the U.S. play ever. And I've been, as you have, covering the U.S. men's national team for the better part of my career, watching them play against all kinds of, CONCACAF teams, including Mexico and also on the world stage at the World Cup. So this is a welcome surprise. I think this is going to help the program out massively. And I also think that Australia is a team that, as I said earlier, matches up perfectly against the U.S. because they don't need to have the ball. Physically, they are on par with the U.S. They're just running all over the pitch, trying to limit opportunities for the opposition. Turkey had 28 shots in that match, right? So you definitely can't allow the U.S. to have 28 shots against you. But they also, Australia, were extremely efficient when they were able to counter. Now, will they be able to do that against the United States? Again, probably not, because this is a team that is as physical, as fast as they are. but I'm pretty certain that, as it is with Mexico and South Korea, psychologically things change when both of the teams that are facing each other in match day 2 won on match day 1, right? On the first match day. So could it be that both teams are going to be a little cagier when they come out, a little bit more conservative, knowing full well that they don't absolutely need to win that match? Could be. Is it also possible that Mauricio Pochettino has these guys so confident and raring to go that the U.S. is just going to be like, all right, we just don't care. We're going to go out and try to destroy you? Absolutely. And I love that attitude. It's something that I've never seen from the U.S. consistently. We've seen that swagger. We've seen that Landon Donovan, Clint Dempsey combination of guys that have that mentality of we want to win. We want to put our boots on your throat. But this is certainly something that has translated to the entire 26-man group. So it's exciting for sure.
Yeah, we got to get out of here. We got about 2 minutes. So I think we would agree Spain and Cape Verde is the result thus far of the tournament. Yeah. I just want to I want to end on this note because I want to get it on the record as much as possible, Eric. I don't know what coverage is like in Mexico. Obviously, I'm watching it here. So I'm watching a lot of the Fox network coverage. They've had some weird moments. I mean, the Jesse Marsh thing was very weird. They do this fluff piece on him. They're like, oh, look at his beautiful house in Tuscany. And then as soon as the piece is over, they shit all over him on the broadcast, which is just like, what the fuck? So, but the thing I want to ask you about is these hydration breaks. Like, I think it's important for people to call this out. I know there's nothing you can do about it, but just so that it doesn't get normalized. You know, I do think that's we're going straight commercials here in the U.S. on Fox. I think the Spanish language channels are not necessarily, but what is that? How is that handled when you're watching from Mexico City?
I mean, Televisa is doing the exact same thing. They are
the Powerade hydration break.
Powerade kicks it off, and then you go out and you get 6 or 7 different brands that are supporting the Mexican national team, and they say 3 minutes. It feels longer than 3 minutes, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I've seen a couple of these breaks come back and the ball's already in motion. You know, you absolutely do not want to normalize this, but I think more so than the financial opportunity for FIFA and for their official broadcasters, such as, Fox and Televisa. By the way, Telemundo, also US based, they're not sending the game out to commercials once these hydration breaks are happening. But I think the impact is more so than the money side of it. It's the sporting side of it, because now we've turned soccer into a 4-quarter sport. It's insane. Yeah. So you have these timeouts, these built-in timeouts that are cutting momentum. And I think a lot of the big teams, Brazil, a great example on Saturday, and now Spain, they're having a lot of issues kind of maintaining rhythm over the course of 45 minutes because they know that they're going to have to cut things off after 22, 23 minutes of play and essentially have a 3-minute long timeout.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of when teams are starting to get into the games, like right for that first hydration break. So I don't know, just listen, we're at a 5 substitute world now. I don't want this to be a thing of the future because it's just not what the sport is. I mean, it's just you cannot dramatically change the sport to this level. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. All right. Just a reminder, too. Argentina lost to Saudi Arabia to open up the 2022 World Cup, went on the win. I'm sure they're saying that a lot about Spain. Spain completely dominated the match statistically. But, and then they had to put Lamine Yamal on there late and say, like, come save us.
Nico Williams. Yeah.
Please save us. Like, help. We need teenagers to come save the day. So we'll see where it goes from there. I will be out at Fit Social this afternoon after Egypt and Belgium, which should be a good game. I'm sure we'll probably talk a little bit about Mohamed Salah. There's been some interesting results, Japan and Netherlands. I mean, what a moment at the end of that game. It was just incredible. Scotland in the World Cup. Every World Cup needs Scotland in it because their fans have been amazing, and we haven't even seen half of these teams play. Brazil, Morocco, as Eric said, was one certainly to discuss as well. Thank you for doing this, my friend. I appreciate you. I don't know if Marty's going to pop back in and say goodbye, but since I got to go and Eric's got to go and we got to get set for the second game. It's a packed day. It's 4 days. It's 4 games here this afternoon. Belgium, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Uruguay, and then Iran and New Zealand. No storylines there. But yeah. That will be something that will have appeal in a lot of different ways, other than just the actual details of the game itself. So, all right, I think that's a wrap, Marty.
Clouds are back in.
Anything else?
If you're going to Fit Social, the clouds are back in. I will ask you guys in the next show the difference between a World Cup anthem and a World Cup song. Well, actually,
Marty,
no. What's the official?
I mean,
Shakira?
World Cup anthem and World Cup song. I think
Yes.
the one official song is the anthem, and the rest are on the album and their songs. I have no clue. I couldn't tell.
I
All
know.
this.
We
I
never
mean-
even saw the opening ceremonies here from Mexico or from Canada.
Isn't that crazy? I saw
What are we
that
doing?
too. Yeah, I would tell everybody out there that's watching, that's listening, to please search on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube the video of the guy that got Harry Kane to sign the Declaration of Independence of the United States. It is hilarious.
Oh,
Please go do that.
I have not seen that. I've been so Nick-centric over the weekend that it's everything else. I mean, it's hard to say. It's like the World Cup. I'm still, going out of my way to find games when we're strolling through the Riverwalk in San Antonio. Eric Gomez 86 on social media channels. You're on TikTok? I didn't know that.
I mean, I'm on TikTok. I'm not on TikTok. I'm not creating content for it, but yeah.
Marty, you on TikTok?
No.
Oh, sounds like she is, but doesn't
No,
want
I'm
anything.
not. All right, we'll see what happens.
All right.
happens.
Thank you,
All right,
Eric
guys.
Gomez. I appreciate you.
Thanks all.
Bye, guys.
Thank you,
Eric
Marty.
Gomez,
Appreciate
Darren
you.
Smith, Marty Caswell, brought to you by the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. Thank you so much for watching Marty Time TV and the Section 1904 podcast. Don't forget, you can subscribe. We appreciate it. Don't forget, Darren spent a ton of money watching his Knicks
Yeah.
get over their curse. So
Yeah. Going to be
Like
doing
and subscribe.
podcasts here for the rest of my life.
3 shows a day, Darren. Let's
Need
go.
SDFC to get back into the playoffs. As you know, I get paid by the game, so we need a deep run this year. All right, I'm going to be
go.
putting a lot of pressure on Tyler Heaps and Mikey Vadas. Let's get this done at the transfer window because we need a deep run in the playoffs this year. Yes, totally worth it.
All right,
Totally
guys,
worth it.
thanks so much for watching. We'll be back tomorrow with 2 shows here at Marty Time TV and also on the section on Friar Territory. We'll get more into the Padres rumors and their series with the Cardinals. Peace out. Have a great day. Darren, the clouds are back in PB, but wear plenty of sunscreen. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
We're gonna talk about earthquakes? No, yeah, I thought you want to talk about baseball.
Where are you on the Astros sign stealing scandal and the resulting punishment?
I wasn't going to be answering no Astros questions today.
That's right, Rook. That's right, Rook.
Baseball's where I belong. I don't care what field. I love this team. I want to be here forever. I want to be the Padres forever. But baseball is what I always love.
Since we're in the moment, is there a more annoying sports phrase than get in the hole?
Oh, you're saying for this? Oh,